Here's Brody Brazil.
This story came out within the last 3 hours, and here I am with 3 games left in the regular season. The San Francisco Giants have fired their manager, Gabe Kapler. Now, if I told you this 2 months ago when the team was making a push, seemingly starting to put things together, that may have come as a surprise. But based on the last month and their results, and officially missing the playoffs, and some things unraveling, some interviews leaking out anonymously, this isn't really coming as a surprise to the Giants fan base. I do want to address the timing here first. To terminate somebody on a Friday of the weekend of the final games of the season. I mean, you're at literally game 160 tonight, and this is the time to let the manager go. Again, it's not surprising based on where this team has been, what's been said, the questions being asked, the lack of confidence from above. I don't think anybody here today is surprised by this, but why not let somebody finish the season? Why call even more attention to this? It is a Friday, and sometimes you try and bury your news on a Friday afternoon. Well, that's when this came out, but maybe it's almost like salt in the wound that you just couldn't even let Kapler finish the weekend. And then, come Monday or Tuesday, after the end of the regular season for baseball, a lot of struggling teams will fire their manager. And he could kind of be, compiled into that group and maybe have less of the focus and the spotlight. And it is just kind of a weird thing to fire somebody in a season that doesn't matter and mattered until a couple days ago, but now all of a sudden doesn't matter, and then instantly this termination. The story was getting hot with some traction, reading between the lines on interviews and body language. And again, 2 months ago, this would have been a surprise in the middle of the season, in the middle of a push, but as things started to turn for the worse, and as everybody has said, the Giants played their worst baseball at the most important time of the season. And just a note on Gabe Kapler, obviously that 2021 season, winning 107 games, him being manager of the year, it seemed like things were going in the right direction. All of that coming off the very awkward and disjointed 2020 season. Clearly, Gabe has a different approach. You don't even need to watch him manage a game or hear him talk after a game. I mean, just look at how he carries himself on a baseball field. He looks different than almost every other major league manager out there. A youthful approach, a fresh and different and non-traditional approach. In fact, here's somebody who does their post-game press conferences literally on a couch. And I'm not here to judge and grade and say that this is right and that's wrong, but he obviously wanted to do things a different way. And those are all the things you see. How about behind the scenes? Gabe Kapler also had the very difficult task of following in Bruce Bochy's footsteps. I mean, good luck with that. In a time where, obviously, the 2020 season made things more difficult, but also add in the mixture of a Giants franchise that was already in transition and kind of already had lost many of its identity players in the last few years. The Buster Posies, the Brandon Belts. For Brandon Crawford to still be around is kind of like the last lineage to the good old days for the Giants. And on that note, I'm not here to comment or add fuel to the fire, but when it's even suggested anonymously, and I'm not a big fan of the anonymous comment and quote that he may have lost the clubhouse. He may have lost us, our clubhouse, from the players. When you see any of that stuff start to leak out, you know that there's fire where you see some smoke. And again, going to the unique approach, maybe that's for some players, maybe that's not for every player. Maybe it's so different, it's not what some players expect from their manager. This is clearly a numbers-based franchise. Farhan Zaidi in the front office, they love their stats. Farhan always has. He got it from his days, beginning with the Oakland A's in the early to mid-2000s. And so Gabe subscribed to that as well, and that's why it was a good front office / manager tandem. And by the way, speaking of Farhan Zaidi, this is the first Giants manager he hired. He inherited Bruce Bochy. Obviously, that's a great fit. And this is the first hire. So if you're going to ask about Farhan's future and success, you typically get two managers as somebody in the front office, right? Somebody's going to take the fall, so to speak. And to be fair to Gabe, I think a lot of what's happening here is taking the fall. Are all of these things maybe part of the decision and part of the timing? Potentially. But in terms of Farhan's future, he gets another opportunity. He gets another manager to put in place. After that, the writing is a little bit less obvious on the wall. Okay, as for the Giants as a team this year, where did they go wrong? I said that they played their worst baseball at the most important time of the season, totally unraveling in September. But I also think they're coming off a couple years ago where expectations were super high. 2021, 107 wins. Go to the playoffs, obviously lose that series to the Dodgers. Last year, a step back from that. No question about it. And then this year, you're hoping to get back to 2021 or those types of results. And that was a very overperforming team. Look at what Buster and Brandon Crawford did. The stats were even better than their typical career averages. But this season, the Giants are 27th in baseball in team batting average. 27th. If you look at the teams who they're with, down at the bottom, none of them are playoff contenders. 12th in big league ERA, so middle of the pack, but obviously not even in the top third there. I think that those two things probably spell out their season. If you really want to simplify it, couldn't score runs down the stretch. Oh my goodness. If you look at, I think, the month of August or September, really since the All-Star break, one of the worst offenses in the entire baseball, Major League Baseball. You look at their numbers from the beginning of the year, that's the only reason why they're probably not 30th, to be quite honest with you. Pitching a little bit better and maybe poised for the future. So 12th in ERA, I'm not going to bark at that too much, but again, unraveling in September, certainly falling out of the playoff contention too. The deeper level is this, though. I mean, you could talk about this year's team and the microscope on that group and what players are here, what players are probably going to be good, what's next for the franchise, what's in their pipeline. But here's the deeper level conversation. We're coming up on 10 years since the last World Series win. And there hasn't been much to speak of since then. 2016, 2021, hit or miss here and there, but nothing sustained, nothing like it used to be. And yeah, like I said here, prospects just haven't hit like they used to. It's been a while since you bring up a Buster and you bring up a Madison Bumgarner and you bring up all of these homegrown products, or you hit on trade pieces, players that maybe had not the highest expectations coming in, but they totally overperformed once they were here. And you also need a headliner. I mean, this is a franchise that has thrived in years of having the Barry Bondses and the Buster Posies and the Tim Lincecums, and I could go on, Matt Cain in that same category. Even a headliner in a sense of like popular players. The Giants right now are lacking charisma. Do the kids call it Riz? Personality. They're missing a lot of that right now. And so clearly this is more than just the manager. This is what they've done is not, I don't think it's going to fix everything in terms of letting Gabe Kapler go, but the fans are a bit restless. This is a deeper level, like psychological look at the Giants and their fan base right now. And they are in search of getting back to the way it used to be. Oh, I should have put a dramatic pause before getting to this. So what's next? If you're asking me for a best case recommendation, then I'm going to throw out Bob Melvin's name. Former Giant catcher. Let me also say that this clearly and entirely hinges on what decisions the Padres make. And when will they make that move? Right? You wouldn't expect Bo Mel, even at the end of this rough season, would they dismiss him today or tomorrow? Like most teams, like the Giants, are going to wait till after Sunday to officially make their move. I can respect it if, they're going back, the timing of it, if they wanted to keep Gabe away from some of the heat and questions and tension, I get that in reverse. The Padres have some decisions to make. We'll see what they do with Bob and AJ Preller in their front office. He obviously has experience with the analytics balance, so to speak. He's been manager of teams and franchises that operate highly with analytics like Farhan does. He knows how to be the balance between I trust my eyes and I trust the numbers. He's a flexible leader. Flexible leader with the front office, flexible with the players. He is a player favorite. Obviously, he's a Brody Brazil favorite too. But everything I know and have seen about Bo Mel is validated by what players say about him. It's one thing for me to just like him. It's another thing for me to hear it from pretty much everybody else. By the way, including, Stephen Vogt, whose name has also been linked to this potential opportunity. I love Voter, but I think he just got into coaching. And I think a job like the Giants and the technicalities of what they're working with might require the experience of somebody like Bo Mel. He's got Giants history, played for the franchise, Bay Area guy. And what if Bob Melvin could put together a group? I don't even know if it's a coaching staff or support system, whatever it is. What if Bob Melvin comes in and has the support of the Buster Posies out there, the Barry Bondses and the Brandon Crawfords, people who are all around, like they're here. Buster just moved back. Barry's around. Brandon Crawford probably going to stick around the area. If in fact he's done, I guess that's my assumption. Man, I got to tell you, personally, I get very excited for Bob and for this team if this is the connection that's going to happen. I realize there are several steps in between now and this, and the firing of Kapler is fresh. But that's kind of what I'm already seeing, and that's what I already wanted to say. So, big day for the Giants. Again, not surprising. Probably in reverse, the classy move to not, if you know what you're going to do, why delay it? Why delay the inevitable? Maybe in that sense, the total right thing to do. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Thumbs up since you made it here to the end of the video. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel so I can definitely see you back here next time.